Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Empowered and Intimate. Today, we're diving into a topic that's going to take your understanding of pleasure to a whole new level. The female orgasm. We're going to unpack all the mysteries, the science, and the secrets behind it. Whether you're looking to better understand yourself or your partner, this guide is going to transform the way you experience and think about intimacy. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll know everything you need to unlock even deeper levels of satisfaction. And who wouldn't want that, right? But before we dive in, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and activate the bell so you don't miss out on any of the exciting content we've got coming up. We're all about exploring intimacy, confidence, and pleasure, and I promise you won't want to miss a thing. Now, if you're already loving where this is headed, smash that like button. It's a little thing, but it really helps support the channel and get these important conversations out to more people. And hey, let's make this interactive. If you're excited about learning more, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know. But if you're not quite feeling this topic, go ahead and comment 0 so I know how to make the next one even better for you. Alright, are we ready? Let's jump in. This is the ultimate guide to understanding the female orgasm. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is the female orgasm? I know, it might sound like a simple question, but believe it or not, there's still a lot of confusion out there about what it is and how it works. The truth is, the female orgasm is one of the most powerful experiences a woman can have, but it's also incredibly complex. And that complexity, well, it's what makes it so fascinating. There's no one right way to experience it. And that's something I want us to embrace throughout this guide. Every woman's body is unique, and the way each of us experiences pleasure is deeply personal. But the beauty is that once you understand the basics, and the not-so-basics, of how orgasms work, you can begin to unlock pleasure in ways you may have never thought possible. Let's get into some numbers because, hey, who doesn't love a good stat to kick things off? Did you know that only 65% of women report reaching orgasm regularly during sexual activity? Yep, while men report reaching orgasm nearly every time, the female orgasm can be a bit more elusive. But here's the good news. With a little bit of understanding, communication, and exploration, that number can increase dramatically. So if you've ever felt like you're missing out, stick with me. We're about to change that. One of the first things you need to know about the female orgasm is that it's often much more mental than people realize. Sure, physical stimulation is important, but the brain is a huge player in how we experience pleasure. That's why emotional connection, mental relaxation, and feeling safe are key ingredients in creating the right environment for orgasm. You can have all the physical techniques in the world, but if you're not mentally in the right space, it can be harder to reach that peak. So let's not underestimate the power of the mind when it comes to pleasure. Now let's break down the different types of orgasms women can experience, because yes, there are multiple types. We're talking clitoral orgasms, vaginal orgasms, blended orgasms, and even whole-body orgasms. Yep, whole-body orgasms are a thing, and they're just as amazing as they sound. We'll explore how each one works and what you can do to increase the chances of experiencing them. Let's start with the clitoral orgasm. This one is the most common, and for good reason. Did you know that the clitoris has around 8,000 nerve endings just in the external part? That's twice as many as the penis, which is why clitoral stimulation can feel so intense. But here's the thing. The clitoris isn't just that little nub you see on the outside. In fact, most of the clitoris is internal, extending deep into the body like a wishbone. So when we talk about clitoral stimulation, it's important to realize that you're working with a much larger network of nerves than you might think. The more you know about its structure, the more pleasure you can unlock. Now let's talk about vaginal orgasms. These are often misunderstood because, for a long time, the idea was that vaginal penetration alone could lead to orgasm. The truth, for most women, vaginal orgasms don't happen without some clitoral stimulation involved. That doesn't mean they're not real. It just means they're a bit more complicated. The vaginal canal has sensitive areas like the famous G-spot, but it's all connected to that amazing clitoral network we just talked about. So when you're thinking about vaginal orgasms, think of it as a full-body experience rather than just focusing on one area. And then there are blended orgasms. These happen when multiple areas of the body are stimulated at once, like combining clitoral and vaginal stimulation. These orgasms can be incredibly intense because they're triggering multiple pleasure centers at the same time. If you've ever felt like you were experiencing different layers of orgasmic pleasure at once, you've probably had a blended orgasm. But let's not stop there. What about those elusive whole-body orgasms? These are the holy grail for some, and they happen when the entire body is involved in the experience. Think about it like waves of pleasure that radiate from your core and spread out to every part of your body. It's less about quick, intense pleasure and more about a slow build of sensation that washes over you. And yes, they're real. Achieving them often involves being completely present in the moment and fully relaxed, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds great, but how do I actually make this happen? Well, that's where communication comes in, and I cannot stress this enough. Communication is everything. Whether you're with a partner or exploring on your own, knowing how to communicate what feels good, what doesn't, and what you'd like to try is key. And if you're with a partner, it's not just about telling them what you want. It's about creating a space where you both feel comfortable being vulnerable and open about your desires. A lot of people think that talking about sex ruins the mood, but let me tell you the opposite is true. Being able to openly communicate during intimate moments can actually deepen the connection and make those moments even more pleasurable. When both partners are on the same page and working together to create pleasure, that's when you unlock the most satisfying experiences. And speaking of satisfying, let's bust a common myth right now. Orgasms aren't the only measure of good sex. You can have an incredibly fulfilling sexual experience without necessarily reaching orgasm every single time. It's about the connection, the exploration, and the pleasure that happens along the way. So, if you're feeling pressure to perform or reach orgasm every time, let that go. Focus on the journey, not just the destination, and you'll find that pleasure comes more naturally when you're not chasing it. Now, let's circle back to the topic of multiple orgasms, because yes, they are possible and many women experience them. But here's the thing. You don't need to push yourself to have multiple orgasms to have a satisfying experience. If they happen, great. If not, that's totally fine too. The key is to stay present in your body. Pay attention to how you're feeling and let the pleasure build naturally. When you're tuned into your body and fully immersed in the moment, you're much more likely to experience that second or third orgasm. So, how do you create an environment where orgasms and multiple orgasms are more likely to happen? It starts with relaxation. When your body is tense or stressed, it can be difficult to reach orgasm. That's because stress activates the parts of the brain that shut down pleasure. But when you're relaxed, your body is open to sensation and arousal. This is why setting the mood, whether it's through lighting, music, or simply taking the time to slow down, can make all the difference. Another important factor: foreplay. Don't underestimate the power of foreplay. It's not just something to get out of the way. It's an essential part of building arousal and creating the conditions for orgasm. The more time you spend building up to the main event, the more intense the orgasm is likely to be. So slow down, enjoy the journey, and let the anticipation build. And for my partners out there, don't be afraid to ask questions. Sometimes we feel like we need to just know what to do to please our partners, but the truth is, asking questions and checking in can actually enhance the experience for both of you. It shows that you're invested in their pleasure and that you care about making the experience as enjoyable as possible. Plus, it opens up the conversation for your partner to express what they really want, so don't shy away from that. Let's talk more about the importance of exploration. The female body is full of pleasure points, and it's important to explore every inch of it without rushing. Sometimes, we focus too much on reaching the orgasm itself and not enough on the lead-up to it. But it's in that lead-up, that slow build of anticipation, where some of the best sensations happen. Take your time and try different types of touch, varying pressure and rhythm, to see what sparks the most pleasure. Remember, every woman's body is different, so what works for one might not work for another. The more you explore, the more you learn what truly feels good. Now, let's touch on a slightly more sensitive subject: orgasm difficulties. I know some of you watching might be thinking, I've tried everything, and I still have trouble reaching orgasm. And I want to tell you, first of all, that's okay. You are not alone. There are a lot of factors that can make reaching orgasm challenging, from stress and anxiety to hormonal changes or even past experiences. The key here is to be kind to yourself. There's no rush, no pressure, and no right way to experience pleasure. If orgasm difficulties are something you're struggling with, I encourage you to explore without the pressure of achieving orgasm. Focus on what feels good and build from there. Sometimes, when we take the pressure off, pleasure comes more easily. And remember, seeking help from a professional, whether it's a therapist or a doctor, is a positive step if you feel like something more is going on. For those of you in relationships, it's important to approach these conversations with compassion. If your partner is struggling to reach orgasm, be patient and supportive. Let them know that you're there to help them explore without any expectations or pressure. The more relaxed and supported they feel, the more likely they are to let go and experience pleasure fully. Alright, now that we've covered some of the mental and emotional aspects of orgasm, let's get into a few practical techniques. These are some tips that can help enhance pleasure and increase the chances of reaching orgasm, whether you're flying solo or with a partner. First up, clitoral stimulation. As we mentioned earlier, the clitoris has thousands of nerve endings and is one of the most powerful sources of pleasure for most women. The key to clitoral stimulation is to start slow and gentle. Many women find that too much pressure too quickly can actually be overwhelming, so it's best to ease into it. Try circular motions, light tapping, or even gentle vibration if that's something you're open to. The goal is to build up the sensation gradually, allowing the pleasure to intensify over time. Next, let's talk about G-spot stimulation. The G-spot is located a few inches inside the vaginal canal on the front wall, and when stimulated correctly, it can produce incredibly intense orgasms. To find it, you or your partner can use a come here motion with your fingers, applying steady pressure. Keep in mind that G-spot orgasms often take a bit more time and patience than clitoral orgasms, so don't rush it. And remember, many women need both G-spot and clitoral stimulation to reach orgasm, so don't hesitate to combine techniques. Now, let's talk about positions. Different positions can make it easier to stimulate the clitoris, G-spot, or both, depending on what works best for your body. For example, positions where you or your partner can easily reach the clitoris for extra stimulation, like woman on top or missionary with a slight adjustment, can enhance the chances of orgasm. And don't be afraid to experiment. Sometimes just a small change in angle or rhythm can make a big difference. Speaking of rhythm, tempo is another important factor when it comes to orgasm. Some women enjoy slow, sensual movements, while others prefer faster, more intense sensations. The key is to pay attention to your body or your partner's body and adjust accordingly. Build up the rhythm gradually, and once you find the right tempo, stay consistent until you feel the pleasure intensify. And remember, foreplay doesn't have to stop once intercourse begins. You can continue stimulating other areas of the body, like the breasts, neck, or inner thighs to keep the buildup going. This helps maintain arousal and can lead to stronger, more intense orgasms. I also want to touch on the importance of breathing. This might sound simple, but deep, intentional breathing can actually enhance pleasure. When we're tense or anxious, our breathing becomes shallow, which can make it harder to relax and reach orgasm. But when we take deep, steady breaths, it helps our bodies relax, opens us up to more sensation, and allows the pleasure to flow more freely. So next time you're feeling on edge, try focusing on your breath and see how it changes the experience. Another great technique is edging, which involves bringing yourself or your partner close to orgasm and then backing off before reaching the peak. This creates a buildup of sexual tension that can lead to more intense orgasms when you finally allow yourself to go over the edge. It's a great way to explore delayed gratification and deepen your experience of pleasure. Now, let's not forget the importance of aftercare. After an intense sexual experience, whether you've reached orgasm or not, taking time to reconnect with your partner or yourself is crucial. Cuddling, talking, or even just lying together in silence can enhance the emotional connection and leave you feeling even more satisfied. So there you have it, the ultimate guide to understanding the female orgasm. We've covered everything from the different types of orgasms to the techniques that can help you or your partner unlock deeper levels of pleasure. Whether you're exploring solo or with someone special, remember that the journey to pleasure is all about understanding your body, communicating openly, and being open to exploration. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss out on more exciting content like this. And hey, if you love today's topic, smash that like button and drop a 1 in the comments to let me know. But if you're not feeling it, that's okay too. Just drop a 0 so I can keep improving these videos for you. And remember, pleasure isn't a destination, it's a journey. So stay curious, stay empowered, and most importantly, stay intimate. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.